I've loved Urusei Yatsura for a long time. I'm a big fan of Rumiko Takahashi, and I was really excited when I heard David Production was picking up Urusei Yatsura for an anime adaptation. Now, I'll admit, I wasn't quite sure how the quirky series would be received in the year 2022, but that being said, anticipation still ran high, and I was excited to check out the first episode. Now, the basic premise is pretty much the same in the reboot, albeit abridged, but we'll get into that later. Ataru and his hapless girlfriend Shinobu are having relationship issues when an alien Oni ship invades Earth and Ataru is chosen to enter into a game of tag in order to save the planet. The girl he needs to catch is the Oni Princess Lum, and after eventually touching her horns and winning, Ataru is free to be with Shinobu, except kinda not, because due to a miscommunication, Lum thinks Ataru proposed to her and announces their engagement much to his dismay and sorrow. End scene. So after that thick plot, let's get into semantics. Mainly, I think the reboot pilot definitely follows the original Kitty Films pilot from the 80s more than the manga in the way the story is written, just buttoned up for modern day anime. For the most part, the events follow the manga in a bit of an abbreviated fashion, though there are exceptions. Many of the gags are more understated in the original, and in a lot of ways, Ataru is a more serious character, given he has the weight of saving the Earth on his shoulders. I think the manga showcases this struggle more as you see him go day to day, failing to catch Lum but getting closer as the week progresses. In addition, Ataru takes Lum's bra from her during the game, as you see in both anime adaptations and the original manga. He actually cries at the end of the sequence as opposed to the anime where they make him laugh. One of the big scenes omitted from both anime adaptations is where Ataru has Lum's bra at night after one of the tag days, and she ventures over to his room demanding he give it back to her. What's unique about this scene is this is the only time you ever see Lum alone with Ataru when there's no romantic tension between them. Thus, she treats him just like she would any other pervert. It kinda reminds me of that scene where Draco and Harry talk in the Philosopher's Stone as two strangers in Diagon Alley who don't formally know each other yet, a scene which also didn't make it into the first movie. Weird comparison, I know, but it gets the point across. Moving on, the animation is beautiful. The animators did an amazing job of bringing Lum, Ataru, and the rest of the cast into the modern day, and I feel like Lum is going to quickly be everywhere again, just like she was back in Japan in the 80s. And that makes me happy. It makes me happy that others will experience this series, and though it's undeniable certain people would dismiss it as silly modern day fluff, anyone who's read or watched the original series or knows its historical significance, well, they'll know this narrative has a lot to offer. On the subject of the reboot, however, there was a bit of a worry that came up whilst watching it, and that is to say, it feels like the writers are trying to streamline and condense the jokes and the story as much as they can. However, as I stated earlier, I think the reason for the double vignette storytelling in a single episode idea is because that's what Kitty Films did in the original 80s anime adaptation. The 24 minutes would be broken into roughly 2 parts to tell 2 stories, starting with the game of tag and then the return of Lum in episode 1 part 2. In this new version with David Productions, we get the game of tag and then between a rock and a hard place, where Lum's jealousy becomes very apparent. So I think this format will work as long as they don't try to condense episodes too much and squeeze out important character interactions for the sake of efficiency. But we'll have to see. The adaptation thus far has a lot of jokes as well, most of them original to the manga, though they are more exaggerated and played up for a comedic effect here. Ataru seems a bit less of a perverted idiot than in the old anime, though I say that with a very large grain of salt, and Lum is actually portrayed as more violent and jealous in this version, in my opinion, than the Kitty Films version. So I think overall what we'll probably see is more of that over-exaggerated anime humor type stuff, which might turn some off, though I don't particularly mind. I think it fits the characters alright, even if it is a bit much at times and could be toned down in more intimate sequences. The original Urusei Yatsura music was great, and I love the opening and ending of the new one as well, especially how they managed to literally animate Takahashi's original manga panels in the OP. I almost melted when I saw that. It's absolutely incredible. I think as the anime goes on, there will be more opportunities to showcase this intimacy of characters, particularly in later episodes with Itaru and Lum. And I really do hope that they keep the softness and nuance that Takahashi put into the pages of her beloved manga. But for now, I think the new pilot is very good. Overall, I'm super excited for more of the show, and we'll be making more videos on it soon as well. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the adaptation in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.